Welcome to the Ron and John Show, brought to you by Veterans Landing Group, and I'm Ron.
And I am John. This is the Ron and John Show. Hey, at the Ron and John Show, we're known coast to coast like butter and toast. We can make ISIS surrender or die, or make even the nerdiest guy look kind of fly. We can drink like we've been singing all night long, and we can sing like we've been drinking all night long. So if you're looking for a good time, don't you delay. Tune into the Ron and John Show. Me and this Ranger, we lead the way. Boom!
Ooh.
Boom!
And we're back.
Yes. Yeah.
Brother, what a week. What a week.
Oh, man.
Just crushing it. You know, we've been heavy on the road. Obviously, we're a little dispersed now, but man, this last 10 days or so has been fast paced and
yeah. Hey, so I saw you this morning here in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Well, in Fayetteville.
That's right.
I'm still in Fayetteville. Where are you at now?
I am in the Great Pacific Northwest, back here in Tacoma, Washington. I literally just landed about 45 minutes ago. Got in time, slided right on in, and here we are, brother. Have gun will travel, and man, we do it.
Absolutely. So hey, we've had busy last 2 weeks, man. And I'd like to talk about that for a little bit. We went to Dallas, Texas. On behalf of Defenders of Freedom to visit the Parker University Synapse Human Performance Center. And then this week, we've been at the center of the universe all week, man.
That's right.
Great events. What was your take on the Dallas trip and the Synapse Center, man?
At first going in there, kind of like everything else, unless we can put eyes on it and see and talk to folks, when we talk about getting after TBIs and we talk about, that type of healing, it's obviously is very close to us in really understanding that. And the experience and takeaways that I had is, that team there, that's a team that cares. It's a team of a level of professionalism that does not fall short, in my opinion, of just how their execution, being able to see the facilities, experience some of the methods in which they aim to do the brain recovery, and then we also got to meet with one of the clients there and get his take on it, and the biggest takeaway that I got from it was it's hope. They are instilling hope in individuals that otherwise might be questioning themselves.
Yeah, we talk all the time, you and I, about how a simple trip to the grocery store can be a deliberate operation for a veteran that might be suffering from post-traumatic stress or who is hypervigilant, or anyone that has been through a traumatic experience. And I just absolutely loved that they had a grocery store scenario in there to get after how the brain works with the body to maintain balance and understanding the conditions that you're in there, and to basically kind of get after that part of the brain that will allow you to be calm as you're just doing a grocery shopping trip. So I was extremely impressed with that, brother.
Yeah, all the way around. And also what was very interesting was the pharmacy that we went to, in which I didn't know there was a thing called a compound pharmacy, where they're, taking these different supplements and drugs and creating a cocktail specific to the individual at their level and their level of need, versus just some broad sweeping generality of pharmaceutical care, which, as we know, could potentially lead to further damage, the depression, or chemical imbalances and all that kind of stuff. But they're really dialing it in, and they care. That's just kept ringing in my ears. And in each station that we went to, for myself and obviously you, we're both TBI awardees, but it was like each stage was like, wow, they get me. They know what's going on in here. And it was something that I didn't have. It felt encouraging also because I didn't have to explain to someone what goes on, in the brain. It's like we're like a swan, I say, is, it's going really smooth over the pond. But what some people don't understand is underneath, they're kicking like hell to stay up and maintain that composure. And I think that's how veterans are a lot.
Yeah. And then the last night, which was kind of a precursor to the trip this week at Bragg, I met with a bunch of guys that I served with in Operation Just Cause and Desert Storm. Great night there. And then this week at Fort Bragg, man, where we did a lot, with the 2nd Security Force Assistance Brigade, with the 82nd Airborne Division. And then we even did some stuff at the commissaries and things like that. It was a great event. But what I was impressed with this week so much, Ron, was just the level of intelligence, professionalism, fitness, and just the dynamics of the men and women that are serving in uniform now.
No, absolutely. The brief that we received there at the SFAB, all the way to hanging out with a couple of those young paratroopers there. Yeah. It's the level of professionalism. I was just impressed. They care, the care that they took, and these are young NCOs. Some of them are senior NCOs or mid level, but it's like they know they want to further in their craft. The way that they put that package together, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal, and you could tell that the individuals, when they came in, they had that. Obviously, leadership, pushes that and spawns those type of that type of work ethic. But it does start with when they come in and what kind of mindset that they have to be able to stand in front and execute on that, especially delivering it the way that they did.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And so we're kind of looking at our military overall here. And one of the things we wanted to get after in a hurry is, how do we get this level of talent into our military? And where do we get them from? And understanding that the mission of United States Army Recruiting Command is so crucial to being able to bring the right talent in, to be able to train and educate that talent properly and employ them in organizations properly. So at the end of the day, when we have to do our nation's bidding, we can certainly do it in a way that we preserve our freedom, our homeland, and our way of life. So, brother, it's truly an honor. We have 2 phenomenal guests with us today. And when we made this work, I was almost doing cheetah flips because we've got our first general officer that's going to be on the Ron and John show. It took us over a year, but we have our first general officer. And I think this general officer has opened the floodgate, and we're going to have more now as we move forward. So our special guests today are the Commander and Command Sergeant Major of United States Army Recruiting Command, Major General Vereen, and Command Sergeant Major Foley. So, Ron, let's bring them out, man.
Let's bring them out. There we are. Hey.
Gentlemen.
Boom. Welcome, gentlemen.
General Vereen, Sergeant Major Foley, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having us, Ron and John, and really look forward to a great conversation. But first, I just want to thank you both for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Throughout the many years, and obviously the strong advocacy and support for our veterans. It really means a lot to us, and we appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, Ron, Ron and John, we're definitely proud to be here. It's an honor, and I didn't know I was going to be the first general officer, so this is history in the making. Make sure you document that. So
yes, sir.
We have, sir.
The first general officer was General Vereen. So
that's right.
That's right, sir.
Yeah, awesome.
So sir, I'm at Fort Bragg, and I did PT with General Donahue this morning, the commander of the division, and I told him, I said, "Hey, sir, when are you going to come on the Ron and John show?" General Vereen has already signed up, and he's going to be on the show tonight. And he looks at Sergeant Major Dave Pitt, and he says, "We're going to be on there." So, see what you started, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Absolutely.
Trend setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, you both you've been a command team for a while, and you have absolutely the most critical mission that our military has and that our national security has, and that means bringing in the talent and the right men and women to serve in our formations. But as with anything within our society, there's challenges associated with trying to do things and especially to attract people to the military. So what are some of the challenges that Recruiting Command and your recruiters are facing today in trying to find that unique talent that we need in the military?
Yeah. So John, this is a really, really good question. So I think first of all, we can't dispel the fact of what's going on in America, and I say that because there's a lot of things that folks they see on a day-to-day basis, and of course we recruit across America. The thing with the United States Army is that we should be a diverse Army, and we have to recruit in all parts of the United States. And so when you see what's going on in some cases across America, there's a lot of reservation with these young kids about whether I should join. And when they see our U.S. military, and of course we know for the most part it's the National Guard that's out securing some of our cities when you have civil disturbance and things of that nature. Some of these young kids tie it to this is the Army and this is what the Army is all about. Well, the National Guard has a mission, and that's part of their mission is defense of the homeland. And so, but they're doing their job. But there's goodness as well too. And so what we try to do is we also try to show the good things that the Army's all about. And that's good that we're securing our cities because that's our mission. But we're doing so much more. And we're heavily tied into COVID. We want to protect America so that we can actually help America get better when it comes to COVID. And so what you see the United States Army out there administering vaccines. We're setting up hospitals. So we're doing good things in our society, and it's really about informing and trying to put away the misperceptions about the Army because that's what some of our young kids see. And so it's about educating them. And I'll tell you, Ron and John, the value of having our recruiting non-commissioned officers out there every single day when they can, when the environment's permissive, to be able to be the face of the United States Army and to represent the Army, and then to be able to talk about and tell their story. That is impactful. And that's how we educate and inform, and then, of course, hopefully kind of change the mindset. And then draw interest into the United States Army. So it's a process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And when you look across, we already know that 1% serve. About 1% serve in the United States military.
Yep.
In the Army, and then you look at who's qualified to do that now, as we bring in bright talent. So it's about 71% of military age people do not qualify for military service. And so we have the 20%, and then we know a vast majority of Americans know nothing or very little about the Army. And so that is our job, is to educate and inform. And we got to focus to bring in that talent of that 29%. But we have to reach them. And if they know nothing about what we do, then we have a problem. And so that's a big challenge for us, is to have broad reach, educate and inform, and so they can make a decision for a career path.
Right. When I was recruiting years ago, but the mission is essentially the same. And there was 4 categories that we went after, which is whether it be college, adventure, patriotism, and so forth. And I, like you're saying, is I've taken many of recruits up to MEPS. They come back disqualified for one reason or the other. But if there was something that I knew that if we held on to this a little longer, let's get an exception, or let's get your PT up, or let's work, to get you qualified. And I think that for some folks out there, they think, well, I can't make it. If I didn't make it this time, I'm done. And I don't think they really realize, like you said, with the NCOs that are out there, that really it's a people business, right? And the care that they go through to push that, and that stick-to-itiveness, as I like to call it, to see it through the end, not only from the beginning, but also getting them to dep, right? To ship, right? That's really what it means. And could you share either some examples or some initiatives that that you have that support and enable the NCOs out there to have that that to continue with that mindset that they already have of that care, but is it, how is it that the command is supporting them in those endeavors?
Okay, so I'll start, and then Sergeant Major can add on. So first, I think it's about all the other enablers that allow recruiting NCOs to be successful. And so I'll start at the national level. I think I can't say enough about national marketing. Marketing is absolutely huge, especially in an environment now where we have really been really involved in the digital world. And so that's where these young kids are. That's the space that they play around in. That's where they hang out. And so our national marketing effort has to be extremely effective. And we are seeing that. So, and it has to be real. And so what you'll see now is you'll see a lot of nuances of national marketing. You all are probably familiar with What's Your Warrior and the campaign that we have. And that is absolutely wonderful. So we are about to embark on What's Your Warrior 3, Chapter 3. And Chapter 3 really talks about examples, real live examples of soldiers who are currently serving in uniform, but they started from a position of they did not fit in the United States military. For some reason, they didn't think that they were physically fit. They didn't think that they could hang. They didn't think they had grit. And some of them probably thought they had some character flaws. Could not overcome them. And so, but now they're serving, and they're serving very successfully. So we're using national marketing to be able to help, now turn the mindset that you can serve. You can serve, and the Army is open for you. You just got to find your fit. You have to find your fit, and so and then once we get them to be able to now communicate with our recruiting NCOs. And notice I said recruiting NCOs, not recruiters. Then it's about now we can actually get after where you fit. What's the best fit for you based on your abilities, your capabilities, your strengths and weaknesses. Yes. So that's really what it's all about. It starts from the top. Sorry,
and then we talk about the tactical level, right?
Yes.
None of us got anywhere without any help and assistance. We all had to be encouraged, we had to be influenced, and then we had to be trained, right? And so when General Vereen talks about recruiting non-commissioned officer, we in fact professionalize that, because they're not just recruiters, they're leaders. And we know what leaders do. They lead, they train, they take care of people, they solve problems, and they help others. And so that's what we want our NCOs to do. It's just not, hey, put somebody in the Army, forget about them. How do I get this person to a level to where they are committed, they have confidence, and then they are able to chip off the basic training to be able to perform and excel and obviously pass and be a positive member and a professional in our Army. So that's like ground roots of it when you talk about tactical level and how we get people to come into our profession.
Wow, that's awesome. That is good stuff. So, one of the things that we talk about all the time is a community of effort towards recruiting the best talent. And so in a lot of the communities that you have, you're recruiting NCOs in, there's also National Guard armories, there's Army Reserve organizations, there's colleges and universities that have ROTC programs. And then along with that, you also have a large retiree and veteran community out there. So how important is it to have kind of this community of interest to come together to assist those recruiting NCOs? And then how do those NCOs build that kind of community of interest while they're out there?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. So John, I will say that one of our top priorities and the messaging that we always push is that it takes a community to recruit for the United States Army. It really does. And so we talk about community partnerships. And I can't say enough about, our retiree community. We also have reserve ambassadors because we recruit for the U.S. Army Reserve. We have civilian aides to the Secretary of the Army, our CASAs and we have a bunch of other groups that are truly instrumental into how we recruit for the United States Army. And then if you think about it, you can kind of do some data polls and you will see that a lot of our school administrators are retired, are veterans. Some of our superintendents, a lot of our school teachers, and we have to spend a lot of time in our school system. So it really is important that we leverage our veteran community. We can't say enough about all the value and the enabling capability that our veterans bring to the table. Now, the thing that I will always caution folks, especially when we look at our veteran community, is we have to educate our veterans on today's Army. Okay, because today's Army is is a lot different than when they joined. And it's kind of like for us who have been in the operational environment, and you all know that you've been downrange. 6 months after coming back, you're old. I mean, you're old news. So what's happening on the battlefield now is totally different from when you came. So we can't talk about when we were there. We've got to understand how the battlefield has evolved. And so we're trying to ensure that our veterans understand, what the Army is all about. That's why we host, we host CASA calls, we host veteran seminars and learning opportunities, so we can make sure that we keep them updated on the latest and greatest changes of recruiting, because it really is important that they have the right message and they do everything that we know that they can do to help talk about the goodness of the Army. And that is absolutely important for us.
So as we look across the Army, we talk about every soldier is a recruiter. In USAREC, we have about just over 10,000 recruiting NCOs. And you're saying, that's a lot. But that goes across all of America and then some locations overseas. And when you spread all those out, they're trying their hardest to educate and inform and reach people. But imagine 8 million plus veterans, Army veterans, that have the experiences to be able to share, good, bad, ugly. And
sure.
Share this, just be transparent about it and be upfront, but share that and get out and encourage somebody and say, hey, this is what I experienced. And so now we say, hey, every veteran is a recruiter too. And how powerful is that when I talk about 10,000 recruiting NCOs as opposed to 8 million veterans out there that can really expand that and multiply that by force. And so, hey, if our veterans have social media sites, hey, get on there, share your story. Use some really pointed hashtags for the Army National Hiring Days we have coming up. We'll talk about a little bit. It's easy. Hashtag join us. Join us. Partner with a local recruiting station or recruiting company, and they will tell you exactly where they need you to be engaged and educate you, just like the CG said. So those are some of the things where we can have, some simplified action from our veteran community, just as you two are doing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. One of the stigmas out there when I was recruiting, and even you could read some of I'm sure you've heard the stories even to now, is, they only go into the inner cities. They only go for the people that are looking for, they have nothing else going in life. And, when I hear that, it number one, it offends the hell out of me because, in recruiting, it was always about quality. It was always about seeking out that quality individual, regardless of where they lived, where they came from, whether that be out in the country, whether that be in the inner cities, whether that be in the Beverly Hills of whatever state that you're in. Right. And also is the type of recruiters, right? Because recruiters don't get to, they get the little wish list of where they want to go, but like you were saying, sir, is recruiter NCOs. and they have to take their knowledge and experiences and acclimate and diversify. So what would you say to that when that statement, that broad statement of, well, you're just doing that because you don't have anything better off going in life?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, we are in a competition, and we're all, when I say we're competing against the other services, we're competing against colleges and universities, and we're competing against corporate America and businesses, and so we're all competing for the same talent. And so when you have everybody kind of picking and choosing from the same population of folks, because there's just but so many of qualified applicants that can serve, so it makes it that much difficult for us. But the thing that that is important that we have to be able to do is, one, we've got to talk about all the great things that the Army can offer, because people will immediately go to what they see on TV. They'll go back to the movies and and MASH, and those are great. I mean, those are great stories of the United States Army, but it's not the Army of today. And so when we start talking about science, technology, engineering, math, I mean, we have so many opportunities where we need, really, really smart folks to do this bidding for the United States Army. And I just shared an experience today with a group of school administrators, which are valuable to what we do and extremely vital. But when 2 weeks ago, I'm talking to an officer who grew up in a very tough part of the United States of America, finally was able to go to school, has a college degree, and now she is competing for the astronaut program for the United States Army. And I'm like, man, those are stories to tell and to be able to showcase that, wow, the Army is absolutely, it's the service of first choice, not the service of last choice. And so that's what we are trying to promote. And the more we can do that, wow, what a powerful story. There's just so much that the Army has to offer. And it takes all of us to be able to tell it. It takes all of us to do that. So,
right. So rich, poor, middle class, inner city, country, doesn't matter. We want qualified people to be in our Army that are bright, that are intelligent, that are good team players, but also have grit. And so, we want somebody that's resilient. We want somebody that can overcome adversity. We want athletes. We want all of that. We want a very diverse force. And so that's what I have to say about having somebody that's a productive member of our profession, the United States Army. And we have there's lots of people out there that are in our inner cities, but there's lots of people out there that's within the rest of the United States too, that can be valuable members too.
Absolutely. And I will just add, you get kids from the inner city that have grown up in very tough neighborhoods, and they have graduated from high school, and they have managed to stay out of trouble, no criminal record, and have been focused on doing well in school and staying in school and not skipping school and not getting in trouble. I mean, wow, that's who we want. That's exactly who we want, because they have grit. They're resilient. Absolutely. And they know how to have, staying power. They will stay in for the long haul. And that's what we want. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, sir, Sergeant Major, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Okay. Can you define the difference between your recruiting NCO that is a prospector and the recruiting NCO that is a processor?
Wow, that's a good question.
Well, we like them to do both.
Absolutely.
Hey, full transparency, General, I didn't make this question up. One of your NCOs sent it to me.
No, I figured that's where you got it, because you're talking technical stuff, prospecting and processing.
I was like, where'd they get that?
Yeah, I'm like, where'd you get that? So John, I'm going to ask. I can answer it, and Sarmate's absolutely right. We want them to do both. And you all understand, we have to do multiple things. So we're asking our NCOs to do multiple things as they do recruiting operations. And part of that are the two things you just talked about. They have to do prospecting. They have to go and find people. And then they have to actually process the paperwork. And that person that finds the applicant has to take them through the whole phase of entering the Army, to include making sure that they ship to basic training, basic combat training. So we're asking them to do both: prospecting, to go find quality applicants out there in America or in the virtual space. They're there. Go find them. And then once you find them, then we need you to process them through to get them into the Army. And so it's NCO work. It's NCO responsibility. Nothing different than probably when Ron was, out there recruiting. They have to do both. They have to prospect and they have to process.
Well, so I recruited in the mid '90s, long time ago, and that was on the backside of a drawdown in the Army. And there was certain ways to prospect, just like how you remember, Ron. There was certain way. Either you went to high school, you call them on the phone, or you
That's right.
met them out somewhere. So there was different ways. Now there's like so many ways with technology, virtual prospecting, high school visits, mail outs, media advertisement, social media, doing your tactical level marketing, as I call it, sharing your story, sharing posts, and kind of reaching people very broadly. So that prospecting thing is huge. But you talk about this kind of like this 3-phase operation. You gotta do good prospecting to get people to process, which includes testing, then eventually join the Army, and then you gotta make sure they're good to go, and train your future soldiers. And so, just like the operational force, there's never a day where you don't talk to your soldier. And that's what I'll tell our recruiting skills.
Mm-hmm. That's
hey,
right.
You can't enlist your future soldier and then forget about them for 2 months and then expect them to leave home, to go to the unknown with lots of anxiety to ship out the basic training. And if that's your plan, it's not going to work. So you have to keep that constant contact and that leadership mentality to be able to get those individuals to do what we ask them to do. So,
and to both you gentlemen's point, there has to be a level of discipline to that. And I think this is where the art and science of being a leader come together. The art, obviously, how do you get the talent? But then the science of it, you have to have this disciplined approach for the testing and the paperwork and everything, so that you efficiently get them through the process and they ship out to recruit training and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I use this analogy. I said, I do not want assembly line leadership.
That's good.
That's good.
That's like
you cannot pass your future soldiers off to other recruiting NCOs to take care of them. Right. Once I get my future soldier, General Vereen is not expecting you to pass it off to your battle buddy and say, hey, look, take care of them and now get them get them to ship. That is not the responsibility. That is your responsibility. That's your soldier. You check on them. You do physical fitness with them. You train them so that they can be prepared to ship. And then you make sure that they ship off the basic training. So we're not passing our future soldiers back and forth. That is not good for them. You sign them up, and then they start to build that relationship with their NCO. That's who they look to. And so we're trying to make sure that, hey, look, we want NCOs to do their responsibilities as non-commissioned officers. Take care of your soldiers.
Yeah, that's trust, that's confidence. And that'd be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to send my soldier to the marksmanship range, but you need to train them for me. That does not work.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that as a recruiter, I remember the first one that shipped and came back, and he was a high school senior, and very, shake his hand, feels like a wet nap kind of thing, not very much confidence. And I remember sitting there with in the living room with mom and dad, and dad looking over and saying, what's the Army going to do for my boy? And, I shared all those things because I saw where he was a little timid and whatnot. kept meeting up with him. We do PT together to get him, prepared and ready. And when he came back from basic training, him and his family came into the recruiting station of leave, and his father walked in, and he had, he was like a iron worker or something out here in Tacoma, and had tears in his eyes, and went and shook my hand, and he says, I want to thank you for what you did for my boy. And I was like, man, this is, I don't know what to say. I almost wanted to cry with him. It's like, yeah, Rod, yes, sir. Having to, push that off. But I think that reward is certainly there, and you can see it, right? You can really see it, and you feel it. And so I want to push them to another segment is so as far as these, you mentioned before, these marketing, right? And another, what kind of new recruiting concepts are out there now? That's being pushed, that either was there before and taken away, and now we're re-implementing, or what new ideas and themes is USAREC doing out there now?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start, and the Sergeant Major can add on. Now I'm going to go out of the tactical level, and I'll start to get into the operational level again. So we have about the last 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 years, we've really leveraged a lot of our other different assets to be able to help when it comes to recruiting. And some of those operational assets are the things that lie in our MEB, okay, our Marketing and Engagement Brigade. We have esports. Esports is a growing industry in the United States of America. A lot of these Generation Z, they love esports. It is huge. I didn't know it was at that level, but it is a growing sport. And so we're actually, we have esports teams. We have Army esports, and so we have a team of NCOs. And they actually are on these game sites, and they're playing games, and they're engaging with young men and women. Of course, they got to be over 17. Of course, we don't recruit 16 and under, but they have they play games, and so and the interaction is absolutely outstanding. And we have some of the top game players like in that little group. It's amazing, and these young NCOs are really good at it. But the other piece that they have to be good at is they got to be able to talk and communicate, I'm not so focused on, can you do this really good? You got to stay competitive so you can at least hold your own. But whether you win or lose is, to me, is irrelevant. It's a matter of how well are you able to communicate to a young man or woman that has interest in the United States Army. The second piece is outdoors, high schools. And this is something that Sergeant Major and I learned over the last year. Outdoors, and being able to do things outdoors. They have curriculums in schools now that talks about fishing and hunting and all those things that high schools are doing now. So we have an outdoors team. We have a fishing boat, believe it or not. We have a fishing boat. It's advertised. It's got outdoors. It's U.S. Army recruiting. And so we just got this boat. This boat is at a lot of fishing tournaments. We've got NCOs that are fishing in fishing tournaments with high school, competitions. They're out there marketing what the Army can do. Now, the thing we got to be very careful is because we get approached all the time about, can I do fishing in the Army? Like, yeah, you can on Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah. But it's right, then we talk about, hey, we got engineering. We have boats in the Army. And so
absolutely
in the engineer. So we start talking about other things, and we drive them to, talking about what the Army has to offer. And so the outdoors is what we're doing. And we're doing a lot of that. And then the last thing I'll talk about is our fitness company. And I know you'll start smiling, John, probably Ron too. We have a fitness company, and these are Olympian level athletes that do fitness for us, and they are absolutely remarkable. They are breaking records. World records in some cases. So, and then we put them into the schools, and they talk about how to eat right, how to exercise, and how to get sleep and what all that means to fueling an athlete. So because our soldiers are athletes, that's what we are. And so those are three things I just wanted to talk about, how we're trying to get after helping and changing the way we've done recruiting in the past. So
so we have soldiers that are CDL license, commercial driver's license, to drive really, really big 18-wheel trucks across the nation with STEM equipment in it. And so we have a whole host we got more than 10 of them. And they set up at major events, high schools, you name it. And you can go in those, and they all have different themes. But you have one that's a special operations one. You have one that's STEM focused. You have various levels of that. So that's, and those individuals, those NCOs are on the road about 9 months out of the year.
Wow.
All over the nation. And they get certified driving. We have our own driving school right there on Fort Knox. And so we have an Army marksmanship unit that's out in Bennett. You probably already know that, but they are the best in the world at what they do. I'm talking about air rifle, skeet shooting, all kinds of things. CG and I were down there about a month ago, and we were doing all kinds of fancy stuff. I'll tell you what, it was great to have weapons in our hands again.
And I want
it. John Wayne, from one John Wayne to the other. No, he did pretty well though. But we were doing skeet shooting. Yeah. But these NCOs are the very, very best in the world. They win gold medals at World Cups, Olympics, you name it. Pan Am Games across the world. And so that's the ways we're getting out, and they partner with the outdoors team to get out to different events, high schools, and just to kind of showcase our winners that we have out there. So that's one of the main examples for outreach and engagement with the community.
Awesome. All right, General Sergeant Major, I've got another tough question for you from one of your recruiting NCOs. And I'm going to read it verbatim because this NCO thought this one out. It's titled to General Vereen, but John Wayne Foley, we're going to put you in there too with your boss, okay?
All right.
What do you say to the recruiter, the recruiting NCO? I'm going to correct this recruiting NCO for addressing this.
You're catching on good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I learned in a hurry here,
You did.
But what do you say to the recruiting NCO on the ground who has a daily issue reconciling with civilians and their influencers, in parentheses, teenagers especially, that the Army advertises a career of choice, the What's Your Warrior campaign, but the only career choices available to a male graduate who scored a 92 on the ASVAB is truck driver or cook? Other than you're a soldier, just Charlie Mike, or sell the Army, not a job, NCOs will always do their job, but the advertising division is selling jobs through media ads, commercials, and specific job pushes through the virtual platforms daily. Yeah. So the question there is, how do you get after that?
Yeah. Okay. So I will start.
We get that all the time.
We get it all the time. Yeah. So first of all, the Army is in the business of selling the Army. And so I can't stress that enough. We are selling the Army. We're not selling jobs. We're selling the Army. And so that's a balancing act, because when we talk about selling the Army has an end string. Okay, and that means that's the maximum amount of people that can serve in the Army. So within the Army, of course, there's different parts of the Army. There's different units. And every unit has to be balanced. We have to have a certain number of infantrymen. We have to have a certain number of field artillery, military police. So it has to be balanced. And so now we're talking about precision in the Army. And that drives windows of opportunity for when different jobs are open. Because at the end of the physical year, when we talk about end strength, if we have not done our job with precision, meaning that we put the right amount of infantry in and not a lot of, over assessed 42 alphas, administrative personnel. Mm-hmm. And we have imbalances in our Army, then that causes issues in our operational units, meaning that we basically will have a hollowed army. We have a whole bunch of people, but we won't have a balance of where we need to have them. And so that's the frustration, because now you get to the point where you only have a certain number of jobs and skills that are open at a certain period of time, because we have to ensure that we have a precision part of end strength, and precision in the sessions is absolutely critical in trying to reach Army end strength. We have to do that. And so it's frustrating sometimes because there's only a certain number of jobs that are open. But as we continue to move through the fiscal year and even into the next fiscal year, then opportunities open so we can actually get a better balance of the force. So hopefully I kind of described that. Sergeant Major can talk a little bit about more, but it's all about precision too. So.
Right, and so when you look at we have critical jobs that we have to fill, obviously, and we incentivize those. But really, it's not about, you talked about the 92. That's a good score, but it's really about the line scores they qualify for and availability.
Yeah.
Just like the CG said, if we make our end strength, which we will, doesn't no good if we have 115% 42 alpha human resources.
Yeah.
We got to have a balance in the force, and so that's the critical part. Ron, when you and I recruited a long time ago, I don't know about you, but I know I could not sell a job. And if I tried to sell a job, I got a call from the processing center. The guidance counselor said, "Hey, Foley, why are you selling jobs?" I said, "I'm not selling jobs," and because they were asking for a specific MOS or skill or job field, and it wasn't available. And so it's availability. And we like to make those matches if they are available, and so I know that's a frustrating part, and we're trying to meet the Army's requirements.
Right. Yeah. I do remember that a few times. But I also remember that fight of, okay, you didn't get this, of having a couple options. At least that was my strategy.
Right.
Yes, you push the Army first. You never know what's going to pop up, and I think it's really setting that expectation of when they get to MEPS. Hey, I'm not going to just push you on an option 40 Ranger contract because they're slim and few are between, depending on what time of the year it is.
Well,
right?
They go fast. Everybody
wants them, right? And then you got that old Ranger in the back says, "Oh, don't leave there until you get it." Well, pitch a tent because you're going to be there for a while unless they go to rock and something comes down from the guidance, and then you get the hammer from the guidance counselor, or you might even get hammer. It's I've been on that side, but yeah, you're right. It's selling the Army, but there's so many great things in the Army to do, and once you share, hey, you might be a truck driver, you might be this, you might be that. But if you want to jump out of airplanes, well, guess what? We just left the center of the universe where there's all kinds of roles which you can do that. And maybe this enlistment first didn't fit you. Well, guess what? We'll see what happens, along the way. But it's selling the culture and it's selling the Army. And so, which leads me to my question is you spoke about these national hiring days. And what's in the events that's coming up. So I'm really interested in hearing what that's about, because back in our day, it was just pop up a tent in front of the or a table in front of the library and a couple pamphlets and there you go. Yeah. So tell us about, what that looks like in the landscape.
Well, I'll start. And so last year, it was the first one we did, but we did it as a result of what happened with COVID. And really how we kind of have a limited space in the physical environment, right? Mm-hmm. So, hey, how do we overcome that adversity? How do we overcome and adapt? And so we went after Army National Hiring Days with about 6 weeks of prep time, which is a very short window for what we know as shaping operations. And really that's to dominate the virtual environment through some career fairs, some virtual prospecting, as you will, to reach people. And we were pretty successful with a very short timeline. It was only over about a 3 or 4 day period. Now, this year, we're coming into a whole campaign of almost about a year of shaping operations through miniature career fairs, smaller career fairs every quarter this fiscal year, leading into this Army National Hiring Days, which is 10 May to 14 June. So just over 30 days of virtual recruiting, and really to reach, educate, and inform people, and to have a conversation virtually in that environment. Sir?
Yeah, and so the other part of that is we talked about this is really an Army effort. We've got national marketing and advertising, so we've got that going with content and really using all mediums. I mean, television, radio. We're maximizing every opportunity, every venue, and so we're using national marketing. But I can't say enough about our veterans. I can't say enough about using their platforms to be able to promote Army National Hiring Days, as well as what our Army's doing. The powerful part of this is really the live, on the spot, no kidding, real unedited interviews of young men and women serving in formation, serving in our Army, talking about what they do. So we're reaching down into ForceCom, reaching down into other organizations, some of the centers of excellence, and we're talking to young men and women who are like just removed from training, that are now, in some cases working on helicopters, they're working on tanks, they're part of a tank crew, they're shooting artillery, and these are live testimonials. I mean, and so the power of seeing the young men and women who are just like the ones that we want to put in the Army, talking about what they do. The virtual space can be really, really great if it's real, and real sells. It wins the day. And so we can, General Vereen and Sergeant Major Foley, we can do our little part, and we can talk about when we served and things like that. But real, showing them that we're real people and they actually see reality happening right in real time. That is absolutely powerful. So it's a collective effort. We're using every capability we can. Our Army senior leaders are all over it. They've got their own platforms. They're using Instagram, Facebook. They're using all the other things that we have. And of course, we want to make sure that the United States of America knows that Army National Hiring Days is absolutely happening. And it's culminating on the Army's birthday. So we start in May 10th, and we'll run it through 14 June and culminate on the Army's birthday.
Yeah, and really, we're hiring. That's really the message. Hey, we are hiring, and we want good people in our Army.
Awesome. Okay, so both you gentlemen talked about basically leaders leading by example. And, the Army has this holistic health and fitness initiative going on, and we have the new Army Combat Fitness Test. John, I've known you for years, and you've always been this dynamic, fit guy, and you've been a runner, a 6-minute mile guy, even at the age you're now. And General Vereen, well, Vic, do we have a picture of General Vereen that we'd like to share?
I think we did.
Hey,
look at that!
Look at that!
Look at
Hey, John, I was coming down from that rep. I was going. That was the down. That was down.
General, with all due respect, it looks like the NCO there was telling you, all right, General, a little higher there, a little higher.
No, you know what he's saying? Sir, that's a great rep. Best I've ever seen.
But, when I saw this, I was just it inspired me because, both you gentlemen lead through your example. And especially when where we're going through this transition in the Army with fitness, and it's about human performance now. How critical is it for your recruiting NCOs to be able to get after fitness as a part of their overall mission? And then second of all, how are you going to get after the ability for these recruiting NCOs to take their ACFTs and have the appropriate equipment to do it?
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay, he can start and I'll finish.
Great. So we already know the culture of our command and the daily grind that our NCOs go through. So we recognize that. the dispersed environments. Most people are not near military installations. But the message is, hey, this is about leadership. This is about what the Army talks about as being fit, trained, and disciplined to be able to do all those things that we are as leaders. And I add the resiliency part of this. And so that's what's critical. And so the first thing is we want people to be healthy. It doesn't look good if you serve all these years in the Army and then when you exit, you're unhealthy and you don't live very long. So we want you
absolutely
to live. But we recognize, hey, we are soldiers. You have to be fit. You have to set the example. You have to lead the way. And you have to be disciplined to be able to stay fit, get up in the morning, and do the exercise that you're supposed to do when people are not looking. Because, we don't have formations like traditional units do on military installations. I mean, we're dispersed over 1,400 locations. And so that is really the message. But you know where it starts? CG9. We took the ACFT last week, that picture that you saw of General Vereen with, you probably should have seen the other angle of the expression on his face, but that was us taking the ACFT with our headquarters, with the soldiers, as an example. We're not going to take it by ourselves. I will never do that. You know me better than that.
That's right.
That too. So that's kind of the start, setting the example for everybody else to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sergeant Major said, he said it all, but we are the ambassadors for the Army. And we expect to, if we're going to be out front in our communities and we're going to be the face of the Army, I mean, we literally are, then we have to look like something that's professional and that people want to be a part of, this great organization. It is not, it's not easy. And so, for our recruiting non-commissioned officers to have to do what we're asking them to do, it is important that they stay fit. They stay fit, they eat right, and of course they're ready to bring in our young men and women who really want to gravitate to something that looks good because it is good, and then want to serve. And so that's really what it's all about. But he's absolutely right.
And then,
yes, sir.
All of our companies, we have 261 companies.
Wow.
And there's a lot dispersed everywhere. 1,400 different locations plus, and they all have ACFT equipment. It's already been distributed. They can train.
Awesome.
They are taking the test now. Many units have probably tested anywhere between 60 to 70% of their soldiers, and there's still more tests that are scheduled, and then they'll take another one towards the end of this fiscal year, August, September timeframe. So they're going to get it, and we're going to get that and see how that data is analyzed by the Army. But we have to do our part and take this. Yeah.
Hey, so Ron, before you close us out, I know we're getting down. Vic, we'd like to take a question from the audience. Can you pull up the question from our teammates at Freestyle Every Day for Everybody Live?
There he is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, you know who this is, sir. So, how can we help? Is there a way that we can help the Army without being a recruiter, more than just supporting our service, actually become involved? And as you know, that's from Command Sergeant Major, retired right now. Halliburton.
No. Command Sergeant Major Halliburton, Master Sergeant Green, and all of our friends over at Freestyle Every Day for Everybody Live.
All right.
These are active duty NCOs, sir, that are in traditional Army units.
Yep.
And they're asking this question: how can they help?
Okay, that's great. So I would tell you, you all have a story. All of our soldiers that are non-commissioned officers and leaders that are currently serving, they have a story. I can't say enough about using your virtual platform to be able to do that. We all come from different parts of society, and the more that we can showcase the diversity, I think, of our formation from every corner of America, using the platform that you have. I mean, that's what we need you to do. That's what we want you to do. We don't necessarily need to flood the doors of our recruiting stations. As a matter of fact, we really don't want our recruiters, our recruiting NCOs, to be in our recruiting stations. We want them out and about, especially when the environment is, permissive, and we can do that. But I will tell you, just use your platform and be able to continue to advocate about the United States Army. That's what we want you to do, and that's what's important to us in the United States Army.
Yeah, I use myself as an example. It's like, hey, we say, hey, why do I serve? Where did I come from? The background. Me, I didn't have a whole lot growing up, but when those opportunities came and those benefits came, how did I maximize that? So that's the real story. The war stories may be interesting, but how do we grew up and how do we came into this? I think that's powerful when you're talking to and communicating with young people, and that may inspire them to say, you know what, you did it. You went through some adversity, you had challenges, but look at you now. And so that's powerful. And then, everywhere you go, it's like, we have veterans everywhere, but we also have people that they know nothing about the Army. So use those opportunities as you go out into the community. And you may not be doing specific targeting and recruiting actions, but as you see people at the store or whatever, and say, hey, what's in your future? What do you do? And maybe that should spark a conversation as you kind of encourage young people to look at other options. And that's what CG and I do. We sit at restaurants and here comes the waitress or a waiter and say, hey, where are you from? What do you do? And that goes a conversation. So it's just as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, gentlemen, we're about out of time here before Ron will close us out. I just like to let both of you leaders, first of all, thank you so much for your leadership at U.S. Army Recruiting Command. In my opinion, we have absolutely the right commander and command sergeant major in the right place at the right time at the most critical point our nation has had in a while to continue to make sure that we can preserve our freedom and our way of life. So thank you both for your leadership. But I just want to take an opportunity for both of you to send a message to those 10,000 recruiting NCOs that you have out there that are on a daily basis slugging it out, trying to bring the talent we need.
So very fast. I always talk about who we are and what we do. And it used to be, hey, I ask, hey, who are you? And they'll be like, I'm a recruiter. I said, well, I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's more of what you do. Who are you? And so now it's shifted the conversation. You are non-commissioned officers and you are leaders. And those non-commissioned officers and leaders have certain responsibilities and roles that will never change regardless of what unit they are in, whether it's this command or an operational unit in the across the force. That never changes. And then what you do may change, unit to unit, assignment to assignment. And so, using that leadership, which is key to winning and excelling. This is a very challenging environment, and we know that. Matter of fact, we go around to all of our stations. We go to station level all the time, CG and I, and we talk about the things that challenge us in the recruiting environment. And there's lots of them. We can go across 20 people and they'll have different things that are challenging them. Well, good leaders are able to adapt. There was a general officer very recently that said, hey, the Army is trained and has a culture of maneuvering through dangerous areas. And so as long as we know what they are, the risks associated and how we mitigate that, we can overcome anything. So it takes that attitude, and our NCOs are capable of doing it. So we thank them for what they do. We love them all, and we wish them all the best out there to stay safe.
So I'll just close, and my comments are really there's two things. One, we have our message whenever we talk, and some of our messages, even how we kind of market what we do in recruiting. We talk about serve with purpose. We talk about you have to serve with a purpose. Every one of us has a reason why we're here. and everyone should have a purpose of why we exist. And it's just more than just being a recruiting NCO. It's what do we do in our communities? Are we helping our communities? Because we live in our communities. In this business, you live in the communities. And so everything that we do, we should do it with a purpose. And we should be constantly focused on ensuring that we're representing not only ourselves as human beings, but also as soldiers and leaders and non-commissioned officers in the Army serving in our community. So serve with purpose. The second part of that is winning. And winning truly does matter. That is a wonderful quote. Winning does matter. But we also say that we are going to win. We will win. But we also have to win the right way. And that means doing it the right way. We're not going to shortcut how we do business. We're not going to put people in the Army that should not be in the Army. We're going to put the right people in the Army, and we're going to do it the right way. And so we're going to win, but we're also going to win the right way.
That's right.
Awesome.
Well, gentlemen, this has been just a pleasure. I'll share one little recruiting story with you that my station commander used to. We'd go and go out to Red Robin, do the same thing, talk with the server or what have you, and then he'd say, "All right, Sir, we're going to go out and burn some cards." And we'd go into the mall and the biggest store we could find, and he would go left and I would go right, and we'd take these business cards. I'm not suggesting they do this. We put the business cards in the jeans.
Oh my God.
Hey, by all means necessary, right? Just be as creative as you can. We didn't have all the fancy tools and all this stuff back then. We had to get out any way we could, but
awesome.
Yeah, but I just love to see where it's obviously I know where it's been where I'd love to see where it is now, and especially where it's headed. And, that doesn't happen without leading from the front, like you gentlemen, whether that be PT, creative thinking and getting down there, with those in those stations, because, a lot of times, depending on what's going on, they feel like they're out there alone. And but I can confidently say without a doubt that not on your watch. And it's been a phenomenal time. And really thank you for being on the show.
Thank you both, gentlemen. Thank you for your leadership and really getting after the most critical mission that our nation has, and that is bringing the talent in to our Army. So God bless you both. Thank you. And I just have one request, sir and Sergeant Major. I'm going to be in Fort Knox in the fall doing some leader stuff, and I would love to come by and do a PT session. I'm not going to run with you, Foley, all right? That ship has sailed. But I would love to get after some functional PT with
Absolutely.
Two phenomenal leaders like you both. So Thank you very much.
Great. And then we can have you on my podcast too.
Yeah.
Done.
Boom.
All righty. Thank you both.
Focus. H2F.
Hey, thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you both. God bless you, and thank you for your leadership. Thank you all for being here on the Ron and John Show. Ron, I will see you soon, brother.
See you soon, brother. We'll have that big
keep going out and making a difference wherever we can get after, and let's keep it going, taking care of our service members, families, and our veterans.
That's right, brother. Let's continue to do that, and we'll see you soon. See y'all next month.
Boom!
The Ron and John Show is brought to you by Veterans Lending Group, where we can assist you with all your home buying and refinance needs. Since we're licensed in all 50 states, we can ETS, PCS, or retire wherever you go. Check out our education classes at VAHomeloanBootcamp.com for our free classes, and you can also visit our website at VeteransLendingGroup.com. Make sure to follow The Ron and John Show on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Hey, folks, we hope you enjoyed our guest this week.
Thanks for tuning into the Ron and John Show, and we'll see you next week.
Woo!